What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gablim, and Mr. Maui Yap. What's up, guys?
May pahinga na. Medyo na yun na hindi naka-recover na.
Pasensya
na, drained na.
Pasensya na dun sa mga nag-request ng episode yesterday. We needed a breather.
Plus, a belated happy birthday yesterday to the master of the mustache himself, Mr. Sam Santos.
Thank you.
Yung kaya naman dyan.
Don't worry, may pa-discount ako. Speaking of that, may pa-discount tayo dahil birthday ko. Gab, take it away.
Anyway, this episode is brought to you by our friends from Varsity Lifestyle Company, the official outfitter / merchandiser of the UAAP. We've told you before about Varsity Lifestyle. They provided us with shirts before, and we have to say their shirts, their designs are amazing. Again, not just Ateneo clothes, caps, but also of other schools. If you're from NU, if you're from Adamson, if you're from Lasalle, UST, UE, go get yourself some merchandise from Varsity Lifestyle Company, and to get a discount to celebrate Sam Santos's birthday yesterday, you can use the code Boleros upon checkout to get 10% off your order, and courtesy of the master of the mustache himself. So check it out in the description. The links to the stores are there. We'll also pin a comment. Again, just use the code Boleros to get 10% off your order. And I'm sure a lot of UAP fans are still hyped about this season because grabe ang wild. 6 to 7 siguro teams are still in the thick of things, I would say.
So sulitin nyo na yung pa-discount namin, 10% off your official UAAP merchandise from Varsity Lifestyle Co. Dahil birthday natin kahapon, we're going to do an episode, one of my favorite segments of Boleros. We're going to do our first ever Swaks, Swaks o Sablay for UAAP Season 88. Gab has prepared some questions for us. Kami ni Maui, we don't know any of those questions. But before we go through Swaks, Swaks, Sablay, Gab, baka naman you can explain to those who are unfamiliar, ano nga ba yung Swaks, Swaks, Sablay?
First off, Sammy, they're not questions. They are statements.
Sorry, statements.
Yes. So if you're new to the channel, you're new to our podcast, and I know there are a bunch of new subscribers that we have. Thank you for subscribing to Boleros. For those who are not subscribed, please hit a like and maybe give us a subscription. Again, hindi lang sa UAP season kami nagbibigay ng episodes, pati off-season, kahit anong UAP news, pinag-uusapan namin.
Pinapatulan namin.
Exactly. Anyway, Swak, Swaks o Sablay, I will give some statements based on recent developments in the UAAP. And Maui, Sam, and I will answer if it's Swak o tamang-tama yung statement, 100% agree kami sa statement. Swaks, 50% agree with the statement, might be true, you might be false. Or Sablay, we 100% do not agree with the statement. Okay, so we do want to shout out the old mismatch. If you guys
OG,
that, the OG mismatch, Chris Vernon and Kevin O'Connor, we got this idea from them. We just put it into Tagalog, diba? So shout out to them. Thank you to one of our favorite podcasts. Verno, still alive and kicking in the podcast industry. So my first few statements has to do with some coaches. And I do want to shout out one of our most common subscriber that I see in the comment section, si at Mako Lagaya, who gave me this idea. My first statement is, Coach Nash Racela is on the hot seat. Swak, Swaks o Sablay? Sammy, birthday boy, go ahead.
Okay, I'm looking at the standings right now. Tama. Adamson is 2-4 for number 6 sa standings right now. And I'm 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 surprised with the standings kasi Adamson, we were really high on Adamson nung preseason. We talked about them winning a couple of preseason leagues. Adamson has consistently been in the thick of things when we talk about the Final Four. So, a bit surprising that they're 2-4, especially that loss against FEU, I would say. I think that could have been huge for them. To be fair to Adamson, they lost a lot of close games. I think pretty much most, if not all, of their losses were close games.
I
So,
think 3 of their 4 losses are close games.
I
Tama
think yung
ba?
Ateneo lang yung hindi close.
Yeah,
Tama
yung
ba?
Ateneo lang yung tinambakan sila ng fourth, pero all others close game. Lasalle, FEU, and NU. Yeah, tama ka sa amin.
Yeah. So, they could have easily been, what? Number 4 right now if they won 2 of those close games. Tied with Ateneo or something like that. But that's not the case. Kung pipili ako ng coach that was on the hottest seat right now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it's Coach Nash Racela. So, 100%
Wow. Okay,
swak for
okay.
me. I think Coach Nash Racela is on the hot seat. Mataas expectations ko for Adamson. You know me, Adamson fans know me. Laging mababa expectation ko for Adamson. This was the 1 year na I had high expectations for this team. They've been very interesting. They've been in close games, but it's not translating. So I would say right now, Coach Nash is probably in the hot seat. But I know there's still a chance. I mean, there's still a chance for them to win. If they can just convert on those close games, pwede may chance. Technically, statistically, they still have a chance to make it to the Final Four. The problem is for me, all the other teams are really, really good this year. Just looking at the top four, NU, UST have been crazy, crazy good. Scary good, I would say. UP is finally picking up the pace. They have the longest winning streak right now. Ateneo is still up there. Lasalle has still not figured it out, but they still have the talent. So it's hard to make it to the Final Four. And the only other coach na naisip ko na probably is on the same level as Coach Nash right now on the hot seat is si Coach Topex with Lasalle, who also has 2 wins. The problem is si Coach Topex kaka-renew lang eh. So I don't know. Actually, may comment ka dyan.
Don't spoil the next segment, the next statement, Sammy.
Okay. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, fine. But so yun. But I have to say maybe Coach Nash is on the hot seat right now. Baka si Olsen Racela nandiyan na papalit. Last time he left FEU, I think si Coach Olsen yung pumalit. So I don't know. But surprising for me yung performance ng Adamson.
Okay, so Sammy, Swak, Maui, Swak, Saks, o Sablay. Coach Nash is on the hot seat. And
Yes.
according to Sammy, the hottest seat.
Yes, I think si Coach Nash is on the hot seat. Swak for me. And actually, very high hopes tayo kay Adamson. To the point that we even put them number 3 on our preseason power rankings. But
Oo nga, no?
as we said during the power ranking, nung gumagawa tayong power rankings, as I said, nung gumagawa ako ng power rankings, we really didn't know, diba, what will happen to number 3, 4, 5, 6. We said it would be a tight race for the Final Four, and I'm actually not surprised that Adamson is at 2-4. Kasi if you look at Lasalle, they're at 2-3. That's how crazy the UAAP season has been, diba? Who would have said that NU would be 5-1 right now? Maybe 4-3 or maybe 4-2, for NU. But who would have thought, diba, that they would be 5-1 at this point? And with Adamson being 2-4, I would think that si Coach Nash is really on the hot seat. Because number one, as Sam mentioned, a lot of people had a lot of high expectations. Coming off some championships, coming off some good performances against UAAP teams ng off-season. And number two, because of the high expectations, people are not that happy with Adamson just being a play-in team. Diba? We've said this in the past. I would like to quote one of my favorite lines from the Batman series. You either die a hero or live long enough yourself to become like a villain. I think that's what's happening.
The Dark Knight, my favorite movie. Love it, Maui.
From The Dark Knight, diba? I think that's the case for Coach Nash, diba? He's at a crossroads. Adamson is now struggling. I don't know if they could perform with the record that they have, 2-4. They would have to end the season at 5-3 to be able to even out yung record nila from last season. I don't know. I honestly don't know, with the type of competition we have, with all the pressure, will they be able to do that? And even so, if they get to do that, I think Adamson fans have had it. They want this team to contend. And sorry to say, but most of the time when you remain stagnant, the coach is the first to blame. So I would have to say Coach Nash, definitely Swak on the biggest hot seat of the UAAP coaching staff right now.
To add to that, no, kasi if normally a coach on the hot seat is on a losing team, diba? Kaso UE bottom of the standings, bago lang coach eh. So probably he's safe. FEU same rin. Actually, this is only the second year of Coach Sean Chambers. They lost VJ Pre. This is sort of expected for FEU. So tama si Maui eh. Yung expectation, what was expected of Adamson, especially with how good they were during the preseason versus yung results right now, hindi nagmamatch eh. So maybe that's why si Coach Nash more than the other guys.
I can't believe I'm the only one not saying Swak. Because I'm Saks.
Fair enough.
Yung Saks lang ako because I don't think Adamson has the talent to the top end talent at least to compete with the other schools who are now fighting for the top two slots. NU,
Wala pa
UST,
si kompetente.
yeah, NU, UST, Ateneo, UP. Sige, you can count in Lasalle. I would say they are still in the running. Ang hirap eh because Adamson in the Coach Nash era has always been a team composed of good players. Aside from when they had yung Jerome Lastimosa, who was a superstar, they've always been a team of good players. They've never had a big splash in recruitment. Even now, see Earl Medina, who was their big off-season recruit, he's not a super rookie. He's a spot-up shooter, mainly. Fits the Adamson system, but he's not a guy who you give the ball to who can take over or who can just run the offense by himself or can just get a bucket by himself. He's not Jerome, or at least not yet. Diba? I still love the defense. Yung other side ng sack sa akin, yung 50% ko and why I agree on the hot seat, because the offense has not improved or at least changed in the last couple of seasons. They've always been a bad offensive team. And until now, they are still a bad offensive team. And from what I've seen, they still run the same or at least similar sets. A lot of dribble handoff, you go to the post, off-ball screen just to rotate and get shooters open. They still play the same way offensively. I love that their defense is still top-notch, pero we've always said, I think I've said this already since last off-season, the offense has to be better for Adamson. And the fact that they have not progressed in that aspect has to be put on the coaching staff also. Because honestly, this season they have more weapons. And dami nila, yung Matt Eralone is more improved. They still have Cedric Manzano. They now have Earl Medina. Ray Alan Torres is back and he's playing well. They have big guys off the bench. Alan Perez, who's been having some good moments. So I don't understand why their offense is so stagnant and still so bad after all these seasons. Siguro yun. But I'm not willing to give up on Coach Nash. I do think with the players that he has, and he doesn't have yung top end talent, he still makes the most of his players, of his roster. So
Fair. That's fair.
If there's anything that has to change, I think we said this long ago, it has to be alumni support or any backer that they can get just to get more recruits, get more top end talent, or maybe just spot diamond in the rough like a Jerome Lastimosa, diba? So yun para sa akin cool. I think if you give Coach Nash the top end talent, he can make something of this Adamson team.
Actually, si Jerome Lastimosa kay France pumarin pa yun, no? So,
yeah,
technically, hindi din niya na-recruit. Okay. Interesting.
Okay, so that's it for my Adamson. And Sammy, you kind of spoiled my next statement. And I kind of went through different versions of this statement because we're going to another coach. And they are making headlines for the wrong reasons right now. So the statement is, Lasalle should just do a Monty Williams and forget about the contract extension of Tofex Robinson and just get a new coach. Swak sacks a bit long, but Swak sacks o Sablay. Maui, let's go to you first.
Ako honestly, for me, it will be outrageous. So I would say Sablay. I mean, Coach Tofex is in his third season. Tama ba? Third, di ba? The first season, he got the championship. The second season, he got to the finals. The first season was a bit unexpected because they started out pretty slowly. I think even nung start, nung preseason pa lang, a lot of people were questioning Coach Tofex. And based on our comment section, it looks like it's back. The doubt with Coach Tofex, with some even saying that he wasn't coaching in preseason because they were winning, which to me is a bit crazy. Even if Coach Tofex wasn't the one standing, I'm pretty sure that most of the calls, most of what they were doing on the court is still approved by him or still goes through him. We've seen a lot of variances in terms of coaching styles in our generation right now. It's not like before where the coach is the head coach is the one that draws up the plays always or always draws up the defense. It can be a combination of top assistant coaches and the coach getting all of the inputs and using them to make their main strategy. So I would think it would be outrageous. Maybe if Lasalle doesn't make the Final Four, it would be warranted. That's something that's possible, I think, right now with the injury to one of their key players, Mason Amos. But to me, it's pretty early. I mean, it's a bit concerning. But if you look at yung games that they've lost, these were all close games. You could say the same that the games that they won were also close games, but that's just the reality of it. Yung season right now, the UAAP, diba, we talked about in our last episode, Ateneo, every game cardiac arrest. You could also give the argument with Lasalle that most of their games have been cardiac arrests. And maybe sort of blame Tofex for some late game execution, but at the end of the day, it happens in basketball. That's how the sport, that's why a lot of people love the sport. That's why they coined the term bilog ang bola. Diba? Because anything can happen in the late game, diba? I mean, if Lasalle was able to pull up that 33-point deficit against Ateneo, we'd probably not be talking about this right now, even despite the losses, diba? But as they say, you're only as good as your last win. So there will always be naysayers, but I think it's too early to say that Coach Topex deserves a Monty Williams type of treatment. Maybe we could say that Lasalle is like the New York Knicks if they do this. Just shifting around maybe 10 coaches in like 15 years. And it's crazy. I think si Coach Topex is a player's coach also. Diba? If you just look at the players, you can see the admiration. I think si Kian Baclaan was interviewed after the game and all he said was, tiwala kami kay coach. Tiwala kami sa system. We haven't lost. We just have to play better. We have to play harder. I mean, anything is still possible. Diba? They can still get top 2. I think with the early struggles and with the current competition in the UAAP, the magic number of 11 or 12 games to get a twice to beat is probably reduced to 10 or even 9 if we get more crazier games from here on out. So anything is still possible. I mean, Lasalle could still peak at the right time. I mean, when they won their championship, they peaked during the second round. So maybe that happens again. Maybe they upset a top 2 seed, diba, in the UAAP. I mean, it's possible. I think that Lasalle has to be patient and to watch what happens next. I think the frustration is kasi si Mike Phillips is graduating also. So Lasalle people are expecting to maximize the decision of Mike Phillips to play the 5th year. But even si Phillips has been very hard on himself. Getting the blame. I think he doesn't think it's Coach Topex. And the fact that the players have had to reiterate numerous times, I think just shows that they still believe in Coach Topex. And I think Lasalle people have to be more patient.
Sammy, should they do a Monty Williams to Coach Topex?
I agree with Maui. I think Sablay. I think OA yung Monty Williams. Just looking at the question. Kasi si Monty Williams was gross negligence. Para sa akin, gross negligence ang tawag doon. That
Troy
dude
Weaver,
did not
shout out
care.
to you, bro.
That dude did not care about winning or coaching his team. Siguro if Coach Topex started benching his superstars Mike Phillips or sina Jacob Cortez and not letting them play, then I would say, yes, let go of Coach Topex. Pero I don't think that's the case. I think Coach Topex really cares. He na-mention ni Maui, he's a player's coach. I think the players love him. So, I think Coach Topex deserves some leeway or a longer leash. Especially since Maui mentioned, in the first 2 seasons that he has coached, he has made it to the finals and won one out of 2, diba? And sinong coach ang makakasabi nun sa UAAP na in the first 2
Almost
seasons,
2.
finals?
If they made their free throws.
If they made their free throws nung last season. So, onting coach lang yung makakasabi nun sa UAAP. So, I think that alone, yung record ni Coach Topex speaks for himself. So, I think he shouldn't be on the hot seat. They shouldn't let him go. They should give him time. Also, we talked about how unlucky NU was last year when they started out the season losing their FSA. I think Lasalle was also not so lucky this season, especially when they started out the season, kasi they had an injured Kian Baclaan. He wasn't playing really well. Ngayon, ever since the Ateneo game, he seems like he's playing a lot better. So at least you have Baclaan back. Ngayong nakabalik si Baclaan, Mason Amos injures his knee na MCL si
Amos.
Amos.
Naman yung next statement eh.
Malay ko ba? Hindi ko alam. Sorry. Okay. Hindi ko na mention si Mason Amos. But they've been very unlucky with a bunch of injuries to their main guys. So, I think that was also unexpected. So, I can't put the blame on Coach Topex. I think he needs more time and he deserves it because he's made it to the finals the last 2 seasons.
Just a side note before si Gab says what he's gonna say. Maybe you have to ask si Coach Juno Soler. Kasi medyo similar ang
Wow.
situation ni Coach Topex now.
Yeah.
Go, Gab.
Anyway, I think same tayo tatlo. My official answer is Sablay for now. For now. Because one, it's early. Only 5 games into the season, still a lot of games left, a lot of time to make up ground. So I do think it's not yet over for malayo pa. Yung malayo pa ang UAAP yung season 88. So I think it would be crazy if they replace Topex now or just fire Topex and just let Caloy Garcia coach. I think that would be crazy. With that being said, they do have consistent problems, constants. Each and every game, they have problems that appear. One, I think it's known to all Lasalle fans, free throw shooting. I don't think they've shot over 70%, or at least they've shot once over 70% the entire season. And correct me on that. I think I saw a post by our friend Navs about Lasalle's free throw shooting. So they've consistently struggled from the free throw line. And I don't know if you put it on Renan Itualo or you put it on Coach Topex or you put it on on the players themselves. Why they can't hit their free throws? Mike Phillips, I understand. Maybe he's never a good free throw shooter, but the rest of the team, that's crazy. You can't have a whole team shooting terribly from the free throw line. Use Mike Phillips, yung gets ko. It might be like a Shaquille O'Neal, where no matter how hard he practices, he's just never a good free throw shooter. He just doesn't have the touch. But the whole team cannot struggle from the free throw line. Second, and I think this was very apparent in their loss to NU yesterday, their defense, I don't think, it's not bad, but it's definitely not the best that they could do. NU was getting to the paint over and over again yesterday, which was part of the reason why they scored 70 plus points on Lasalle. Now, Lasalle's offense was not bad. I mean, yes, they were turning the ball over a lot. They had a crucial turnover in the end game, courtesy of LeBron James Daep. But they were getting to good spots. Jacob Cortez had amazing moves yesterday. Ang galing ni Jacob Cortez. Kim Baclaan was on point on the offensive end. Mike Phillips was getting shot to flow to was getting his shot to fall. So and they scored 74 points the entire year. So that's not bad, diba? But it's the defense for me that's a problem for them. And this is a problem when you're playing both Cortez and Baclaan. They're not defenders, so you have to cover for them. So
And
you have
Amos.
to cover and Amos. Tama ka, Maui. Well, it's not a problem anymore. Dahil na si Mason. Pero in their main five, they were playing 3 non-lockdown defenders. So you could say si Apadam and si Golyena or si Makalalag are decent defenders on the wing, but they have to cover for the other 3. And it was apparent yesterday, I would say. I thought NU did a good job finding open shooters. The 2 threes of Reinhardo Mamoy from the right side of the court where you was an example of that. Just a team, just the Lasalle defense collapsing on PJ Palacelo, and eventually it found Reinhardo Mamoy. There are also many instances of Jake Figueroa just breaking down the defenders, finding open shooters. Heck, even si Insan, Maui, si Paul Francisco, was able to get to the rim. Diba? So, the defense has to improve. I think that's something that the Lasalle fans will have to ask from Coach Topex. The other thing, and I think this will be solved in the next coming games. I'm not sure. But they have a problem with Luis Pablo at center. And that was apparent also yesterday. With Luis Pablo at center, they had no rim protection. Because Luis Pablo is not that big. And if you have guys who are letting the guards and the perimeter players waltz into the paint and you have Luis Pablo there as your paint protector, you're going to give up some paint points. Which is why I do not understand why Bright Nuanco, despite him not being, a mid FSA at the very least, I don't understand why he's not getting more run. Because
Yeah.
just his size alone is important. His rim protection, because he can block shots. I think we've seen
Mm-hmm.
enough of Bright Wanko to know that he's a decent rim protector. He might
Mm-hmm.
not be quick on his feet. He might not be the best offensive player out there. Well, he's way better than OJ Ojarikre. I don't know. Yung kung mag-1-on-1 sila, mananalo ba si Bright Wanko kay OJ? but
Ayoko ata mapanood yun.
yeah, but I do think with the Mason Amos injury, as mentioned by Sam, I do think they have to shift down si Pablo to the 4 and play more
Mm-hmm.
Bright to back up Mike Phillips. Again, very apparent yesterday yung problem nila when Mike Phillips went to the bench. There was no one guarding the rim. Well, there was someone, but it was someone that the guards and the wings of NU and even si PJ Palachello was not afraid to attack. So let's see if those, for me, those are the adjustments and the problems that they face on a consistent basis. Hopefully they find a solution for it. I don't think this is the Lasalle we're gonna see for the entire season. I do believe in the team I saw in the preseason, which was just on a string offensively and can get yung defensive stop. And so let's see if they don't make the Final Four. Again, sabi ko Sablay for now. But if they miss the Final Four, I am willing to change that answer come the end of the season.
If they don't make the Final Four, I think he gets the boot.
Oh, are you locking that in, Maui?
I think he's out.
Sige, guys, comment down below if you agree with Maui. Ako, I slightly agree with that. Siguro maging
Lasalle
Swaks yung-
fans, comment down below.
Some people are saying we need the culture that Topex brings. Pero para sa akin, if they don't win with a stacked lineup, anong kwenta ng culture, di ba? So maybe the culture is not enough if you're not winning with a very talented roster as Lasalle has. Okay? So our next statement, medyo na 30 minutes tayo yung on the coaches. We'll go to a player, and very unfortunate news from yesterday. Mason Amos got injured. Sprained I think was a torn MCL, so he's out 6 to 8 weeks. He could probably come back, but I doubt that he will be back for season 88. May ramp up pa yan eh. So I don't think we'll see Mason Amos for season 88. But my Swak, Sacks, or Sablay for Mason Amos is, well, okay, I'm gonna scrap what I said because I think it's too mean. Lasalle are no longer contenders without Mason Amos. Swak, Sacks, or Sablay? Sammy, you go first.
Sucks. Sucks for me. I'm 50-50 on this. I think you cannot count out Lasalle because they still, you mentioned it, they have a stacked roster. They still have Baclaan and Cortez. They still have Mike Phillips, who was second in MVP voting last season. You still have other guys there on the roster that can be starters for other teams. Gullena, Pablo, Abadam, Makalalag, Doy Dungo, Boris Marasigan. This team is super deep. And I think if there's a team that can sort of cover up for the hole that Mason Amos left, I think it's Lasalle. Especially with like a bunch of 6'7" guys, diba? Like Pablo and si Daep pa. Melencio is also big. And I think you mentioned si Nuanco should get more playing time with Mason Amos gone. So I don't think you can count them out as potential Final Four contenders or potential finals contenders. But kaya ako 50-50 is because out of all the seasons, this is probably going to be one of the toughest seasons to make it to the Final Four just because of how good the other teams have gotten. Kung last year to, let's say if you put this Lasalle team Last year, baka easy mag top 3 pa rin yung Lasalle team na to without Mason Amos. But this year, with how good UST has been, with how dominant NU has been, with Jake Figueroa playing like an MVP, UP is still there. Ateneo finally winning games after their last place finish last season. I think it's hard to get back into the into Final Four contention, especially this year with a competitive lineup this year of the other teams. So that's why 50-50 ako. They can still make it, but they have to bring their A game and sana wala nang ma-injure. Medyo maaga pa. Baklaan just came from injury. So hopefully nothing happens. I think si Makalalag got injured also. He was
He's back. He's back now.
He's back pero may mask pa rin siya. So sunod-sunod yung injuries nila eh. So hopefully wala nang ma-injure because Mason is a big loss but I think they can still contend.
Maui, is Lasalle still a championship contender without Mason Amos?
Actually, maganda yung sabi mo na championship contender, not Final Four contender. And I don't want to say Swak because I still believe in this team. Number one team ko sila ng off-season. Despite being a self-proclaimed Lasalle hater before. But I still believe I'd probably be more Swak than Swaks. Siguro 60-40. I mean, I'm leaning towards pwede rin Swak to say as a championship contender. But I would like to see first what happens. It's a bit more challenging. As you mentioned, Sam, yung this season. Teams are bigger, stronger. Teams like Ateneo have solved yung problem sa front court. A lot of teams have gotten bigger. They have taller wings, 6'5" and above na power forwards, which is good for the UAAP, but I think bad for Lasalle right now because they've been playing Mason Amos and Pablo and Mike Phillips with their front court minutes basically the whole season. Nuanco has gotten some games he hasn't played. LeBron James Daep has probably played below 10 minutes in most of the games. So it remains to be seen what happens now that Lasalle has a problem with its front line. They have the best big man, maybe, in Mike Phillips. But now what if Phillips gets into foul trouble? They're in a bigger hole. Remember, Mike Phillips' game is all about aggression and energy. This is that guy who really needs to show yung aggression niya to get the most out of it. And that means there are games where the referees could easily get him 2 fouls in the first half or get him 3 fouls in the third quarter just because of his sheer mobility, sheer motor. Diba? And it's going to be more challenging for Lasalle. But they still have the talent. Diba? You name all the names, Sam. They still have, I would say, the top point guard in Jacob Cortez. Anything is still possible. But I think si Pablo and Daep will have to play a lot better. Pablo has to shoot his free throws better. That's one thing he has to work on. Pablo has, from the games that I've watched, Pablo has always been able to draw a lot of fouls. It's because he's also a walking mismatch. He's too fast for the big man. He's too small for the wing player. So he has to hit his free throws. He cannot go 2 for 8 in any game. Si Daep will get more playing time unexpectedly this early. And I think he has the talent. He's versatile enough to play 5-4-3, I think, in the UAAP right now. He will have to step up and contribute more. But medyo concerning yung spacing ng Lasalle. I mean, that's the main value of having a Mason Amos, right? You're able to stretch the floor. That means your guards and wings have easier path to get to the ring. Now that Amos is not gone, will they load up on the perimeter and limit yung opportunities of guards to create? So definitely a lot of adjustments. As you mentioned, Sam, this is probably the most difficult season, especially for Lasalle, in this Coach Topex era. And with all the pressure mounting, let's see how they bounce back. But I would think that at the very least, they would turn this around and still get to the Final Four. I don't know if they're gonna get top 2, to be honest.
Alex Konov, pasok.
Ako na gusto gagamitin kay ni Coach Topex si Alex Colo. I just wanna yung in this
Wala nang
lineup.
shooting eh.
No, but honestly, first of all, we do want to say we hope for a fast recovery to Mason Amos. Diba?
Yeah.
Yes, he transferred out of Ateneo. We cheer against him, but we consider him a friend. You know, he
Good
was
friend
on
of
this
the podcast.
Yeah, he was on this podcast twice. We had long discussions with him. We see him during the games. We say hi to him during the game. So despite us, being happy that he was exposed in one-on-one in the Ateneo Lasalle game, we never want these types of injuries to happen to any player. Right? This is not something you celebrate. If you celebrate a player getting injured like this, ewan ko sa'yo.
Get out of here.
Yeah, get out. We don't want you here, diba? So, and it was a freak accident, okay? I don't think it was anyone's fault. I think Kian Baclaño made the fake, and then si Jello Santiago yung lost his balance and hit yung Mason Amos' knee. I don't think it was anyone's fault. It was a freak accident. Malas lang talaga. So we hope for a speedy recovery for Mason Amos. To answer the question, I'm Sablay. I still think Lasalle is a championship contender. I think they have enough talent. Their perimeter is stacked. Okay? Talk about Cortez, Baclaan. We have Dungo, Makalalag, Manasigan, Abadam, Goliena. Ang dami. Stacked.
The list goes on.
Isama mo na si Gian Gomez, the minions, the most minion of the minions, si Gian Gomez. So I do think they still have enough. And it might be a bit of a blessing in disguise. Maybe we'll see finally a breakout from LeBron James Dae. He's been shooting more threes since the season started. Maybe he could play that Mason role and still show off that athleticism and foot speed that he had in the preseason and when he was in high school. Maybe some off the dribble game that we don't see. If Pablo plays at the 4, will he expand his game to be more than just a backup center? Can he have a mid-range going? So a lot can still happen. Next man up. I know that's said more for the Ateneo Blue Eagles, but for the De La Salle Green Archers, I think it has to be your next man up. They do have a deep roster. With a lot of talent. I do hope they play Pablo and Daep at the 4 now. And then just use Bright Noaco as the backup 5. I don't really understand why they don't use yung Bright Noaco. His size alone is valuable. Now they have to rely on an FSA. Shout out to Quinito Henson. So I still think they have enough. I don't believe that that they're not a championship contender. I still put them up there despite the bad start. Their next game is against UE. So nothing gets you back on track than a game against UE. Although historically UE loves to play Lasalle. So,
that's true.
I just want to put it out there. I said...
Pag yan natalo, talaga sasabog na.
Sasabog na. Yung Coach Topex
na.
You may witch hunt na para sa'yo mga Lasalista kung matalo ka sa UE. But I just want to put it out there. Yes, their next game's against UE. But historically, UE has played their best against Lasalle. But that was Coach Jackson Tiago, a former Lasalle coach. So I don't know if Chris Gavina has the same magic against the De La Salle Green Archers. Okay. Anything to add before we move on, boys? Wala?
Move on na tayo.
Okay. For I think our fourth statement in Swaks of Sablay, we saw the NU Bulldogs. I think you would consider it an upset despite having the better record than Lasalle. They pulled off an upset against the De La Salle Green Archers yung yesterday. My statement is NU is a legitimate championship contender. Swak, Swaks, o Sablay. Maui, let's go to you first.
Grabe yung sa NU, di ba? I mean, we've said a lot of people have been saying since the off-season, look out for NU. Even some players that we've talked to have said look out for NU, and I think it's the real deal. They're at 5-1. Ang hirap lang sabihin na Swaks, na Swak 100%, just because of that game against UP. Di ba? Kasi that was one of their main problems in previous seasons. When they go up against top teams, they usually struggle. This was the case 2 seasons ago. They were the leaders of pack, top of the standings at a certain point during the season. And it ended up, I think, with 10 wins. So, is this finally the year? I think that's the biggest question. Finally the year that they get over the hump, get a twice-to-beat advantage, and get back to the finals. And I think, with everything that's been happening with Lasalle, I think UST is the biggest threat. Maybe you could say Ateneo, but they also have an issue with the injury of Bahay. But as of the moment, it looks like it's going to be UST and UP who will be the top 3 teams, will be vying for that twice-to-beat advantage. And I think with what we've seen with NU, I think they're legit, and this is their chance to get that twice-to-beat advantage. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing them for their game against Ateneo, but ending the first round at 6-1, if they do end at 6-1, the twice-to-beat advantage would be theirs to lose if they get to 6-1, because I think 10 or 11 games the season is enough to get twice-to-beat advantage. And it would be very easy to get to that if they get to 6 wins at the end of the first round. I just think that they have the talent from top to bottom. I love that it's the Omar John-led iteration of NU because it speaks about yung stability and yung their lineup being constantly the same and integrating some new pieces, which was what really made the Ateneo very deadly during the early parts of Coach Tab. That stability of the lineup. I think Omar John has outperformed expectations since the preseason started. I don't think anyone expected him to be this good. The numbers might not reflect it, but clearly si Coach Jeff has even said this in numerous press conferences that this is a different Omar John. Plus, Sammy mentioned kanina si Jake Figueroa playing at an MVP level, and that has been the case, especially in their close games, where he has hit tough shot after tough shot after tough shot, and has even still defended the top player from the other end. If Jake Figueroa is this consistent, then maybe this is the year that NU gets over the hump. So I would say that as of the moment, I think NU is legitimately a contender, a title contender, not just a Final Four contender for this season.
Pero Swaks ka lang, hindi ka Swak. Or Swak ka na ba?
Swak.
Oh, Swak ka na. Okay, wow, okay. Sammy, is NU a legit championship contender? Not just Final Four, not just finals. Championship contender.
Right now, with how they're playing, yung standing nila, I think you have to give it to NU. You have to give it to NU. You have to say Swak. And I really like yung depth siguro nung NU team na to. You have your legit superstar in Jake Figueroa, as we mentioned, who's playing like an MVP. Defensive anchor in Omar John. I think you don't need Omar John to score a lot. Just anchor the defense, get a ton of rebounds, stay out of foul trouble. That's what's important for Omar John. And be mature. Don't overreact. And I think that's what he's doing right now, and that's what they all love about him. I think what's surprising is the number 3 guy for me right now is PJ Palacielo, who's
My
coming off the
boy!
bench.
My
Your
boy!
boy, PJ Palacielo, who's coming off the bench, reminding me of sino ba, Montrezl Harrell, who was like a 6th man of the year awardee, big man coming off the bench. He's been really good. He was, especially against Lasalle, he was posting up Mike Phillips, scoring over Mike Phillips, scoring over Mason Amos, scoring over Luis Pablo. Kahit sino itapo ng Lasalle sa kanya, they couldn't
Looking like
stop
Carl
him.
Tamayo.
Looking like Carl Tamayo.
No,
Oh.
yung baseline jump shot niya, no?
Oo nga, no? That's a good comparison. At least kahapon, diba? He's been a surprise for me na siya yung nasa top 3. If we're just talking about yesterday's game, if Reinhard Humamoy can somehow be as good as he was nung 4th quarter, hitting clutch threes, getting clutch defensive plays, and you can be very dangerous. Kasi Reinhard Humamoy was really hyped nung high school, di ba? Sa lagay na yun, what's really great about yung depth ng NU is kahit may bad games yung ibang players, others can step up. Steve Nash had probably his worst game of the season. But at least Reinhard Humamoy was able to cover for him. Actually, I think okay nga na it was Humamoy that was his backup kasi I think he had the shooting and then yung steals nga. Another guy that I've talked about, Jello Santiago, has been amazing, lalo na on the defensive end, guarding the best players. I think kahapon, like, he was guarding Baclaan and Cortez. I like the depth of NU. You still have the solid coaching of Coach Jeff Napa. So, I think they are contenders. We have to respect yung standing nila. And they beat UST, the only team so far that has beaten UST. Because I was gonna say, if you asked me who's my favorite right now, it's UST actually. I would pick UST as my favorite championship contender right now. So, the fact na the only team that has beaten UST is NU, I have to give it to NU. They're a legit championship contender then. Swaks. Swak.
Just to add, si Manansala nga hasn't been performing, di ba, as
That's
expected
true.
this
That's
season.
True. Nakalimutan ko sabihin.
I think
You're
yung research,
Maui's boy! Your boy, Maui!
Your boy!
Cholo!
yung resurgent, I think yung yung Pinoy Liga superstars are the ones really the main reasons also why NU is tearing it up this season. Paul Francisco, si Insan, and si Jello Santiago. These two guys started to break out sa Pinoy Liga, I think 2 or 3 off seasons ago.
Yeah.
So finally showing out in the UAAP.
I love that he called them the Pinoy Liga superstars. Paul Francisco at si Jello Santiago. Pero totoo, di ba? I think they beat UP in a Pinoy Liga yung semifinals game because of those two guys and yung NC Reinhard Humamoy. Yeah, okay. Nag-usap ba kayong dalawa? Bakit kayong dalawa palaging agree at ako lang yung iba? Because my answer is totally different for this
Sablay ka.
No, ako Swaks lang ako.
Alam ko nga Swaks si Maui.
No, Swaks lang ako. Hindi naman totally sablay. I think that would be too harsh. Swaks lang ako. I do, again, sabi mo nga sa amin, we do have to respect the record. They are 5-1. They beat UST. They beat Lasalle. I do think we have to respect that they beat top teams, which is something that we've criticized them before, diba? They cannot beat top teams. Well, at least nung U86 and 85. Nung 87, sila lang yung nakatalo sa UP sa Lasalle. So, I have to give them that. At least yung 50% of my thought goes to that na they're beating the top teams. But the reason why I'm sacked for this statement, Maui mentioned it. I can't get the UP game out of my head. We didn't talk about it. I think we were all out that Saturday.
I didn't get to watch that game. So, baka kaya swak na swak din sa akin yung sagot ko.
Sammy, if you watch that game, you would be horrified if you're an NU follower and you're an NU fan. because they just meltdown in the latter half of the third quarter and the entire fourth quarter.
All the way to the fourth, yeah.
They could not score at all against the UP defense, and all credit goes to the UP defense. They were spectacular. Harold Alarcon just face to face, body to body with Steve Nash, and ito yung old
Good
ghosts
friends.
Oo,
and
ito
Steve
yung
Nash.
old ghost kasi ng NU sa Maui. Yung
Kontrapelo
droughts
talaga
na
yun,
ganito,
no?
yung pang pinressure na sila na nawawala sila. Ito yun eh. This is what they've always gone through for 3 seasons now, since season 85. They go through stretches where they just cannot score. And that was one of the worst that I've seen them. That the one of the worst droughts that I've seen from NU. I do recall this stat in season 87 and season 86, the 2 lowest scoring games in total were both from NU FEU games. So that goes to tell you how offensively challenged this NU team previously was. Now for this season, they're scoring better. A lot of it has to do with Jake Figueroa just elevating his game. But just the UP game, I cannot get out of my head that they can still undergo these droughts. And when they face a team like UP again, I'm not sure if they have enough to get past the UP Fighting Maroons. I was horrified but what I was seeing from NU in that fourth quarter, just tumatak sa utak ko yung grabe, wala silang makuhang offense at all. They couldn't get off any decent shots. Everything was pilit. They were turning the ball over like crazy. They were stuck. I think they were stuck at 49 for a good 10 minutes of game time. They could not score at all. So ayun pa rin sa akin, until they prove to me na wala na yung mga offensive droughts na yon, I cannot believe in them as a championship contender. I just cannot. Siguro yun yung pessimist sa akin. Sana go.
I think to add to that, yung consistency nung other guys, no? Kasi Jake Figueroa has been really good, has been really consistent, but the others have not been. I think kahit si PJ Palacielo, when he was interviewed in yesterday's game, nung best player siya, yun yung sinabi niya eh. Just, my last few games have been horrible. So, I have to parang be consistently like good or focused. Yesterday, wala nga din si Steve Nash, diba? So, I think yun yung question din for this team. Like, other than Jake Figueroa, who can consistently contribute to this team? And I think that's what makes UST different from them. Kasi they have like a big 3 na talagang maasahan mo eh.
Okay, we're going to almost an hour. So, last statement. Isingit ko lang. Swak, o Sablay. Gani Stevens is the most important player on the UP Fighting Maroons. Sammy, the UP alumnus. Swak, o Sablay. Gani Stevens is the most important player on UP.
I'm so surprised at how good and how important Gani Stevens has been for this UP team, and I think he's been a huge reason why UP has been on a winning streak. Love this guy even nung time sa UE, just the hair, the body, the way he plays.
Just a note about the hair, Sammy. Nung naglaro yung NU sa FEU, tas nagtabi si Gani Stevens at si Steve Nash Enriquez.
Steve Nash.
Yung nag-notes ba yung dalawang to sa mga buhok nila? Kasi sobrang pareho yung buhok.
Pareho sila eh, no? Parehong-pareho.
Parang mini-me.
Mini-me. Yun nga, tas sobrang magkaiba pa eh, no? I really love Gani Stevens, and I think he's going to be a crucial part of this team. Pero, I have to say, sucks. 50-50 ako dito. I think he's probably the most crucial big. I want to say that. Because of what he can contribute, and he can play like multiple positions, like the center, the 4. But I think it's still either Remogat or Alarcon who's the most important UP player. And I think big reason also for why UP has been winning a lot is the play of Ray Remogat, who was absent for like the first few games, looked lost. Now he looks really comfortable with UP. has scored a ton. He's hitting his 3-point shots now. So, playmaking also. So, I still think Remogat and Alarcon are the top two most important guys, but I'm surprised. I would say Gani Stevens is part of that big three of UP. Kaya, saks ako dito.
Ako, if
Howie.
you were to ask me nung start ng season, I'd probably say Abadiano, Alarcon, and Remogat would be the most important.
Yeah,
Not even Naruka,
true.
because UP is a 16 deep lineup. Kaya nakakabaliw sabihin na nag 0-2 sila. People were doubting this team. I think they have a very competent pool of coaches too, as proven. They've been very good in making adjustments, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've had so many lopsided games sa finals, because that's how quickly they can adapt. That's how quickly they can they can adjust to certain matchup situations. But I would say that for me, this season, Gani Stevens is the most important player on this UP lineup. Swak, 100% based on what I've seen, especially the Ateneo game. And maybe this game against FEU. I don't. Before we got to the season, a big question mark was the 4 slot for UP. And so far, we've had the answer. It's not Iniguez. It's not Andres. It's definitely not Belmonte. I think it's a committee of Stevens or Naruka switching it up as a big and tall wing. I've been so impressed with how Gani Stevens has been able to create off the high post, how he has been able to pass off the high post, how he has been able to drive to the basket. Certain facets of his game that were not even shown during his stint when he was probably 30 pounds heavier.
Ibang-iba no? Iba
Kahit
yung
nung
Gani
mobile pa siya,
Stevens.
and he was getting offensive rebounds. Ang ganda ng development ni Gani Stevens. And now I understand why I think there were rumblings before that Ateneo wanted Stevens also because of his basketball IQ and his potential. I love how Gani Stevens has developed his game. I love how he is probably the most underlooked player from UP. A lot of people are saying Alarcon, a lot of people are saying Norukab, a lot of people are saying Remogat because of high-scoring games or high-scoring quarters. But yung value of having a Gani Stevens is the reason why I think UP is still a title contender. Gani Stevens, along with probably Mike Phillips, is the only local Phil-Am or non-FSA that could match up with another FSA. That in itself is a huge value. And that is why teams like Ateneo, who had Isaac go before, were able to contend from for so many years. Teams like UP were able to contend with a QMB. Diba? If we value QMB for his intangibles, we should also value Gani Stevens for the intangibles he's brought to UP. I think yung energy niya also is very important. Two players, not just Gani Stevens. I will have to shout out si Jacob Baila. He's also another guy that I think is very important to the UP system. Not just because he's the top defender, but also because of the versatility he brings. I believe these two players are probably underlooked to a certain degree because the stat sheet does not reflect their full contributions. But yes, to answer your statement, Gab, I think si Gani Stevens, right now, in my mind, is the most important player in UP. And despite Noruka scoring only 1 point and Remogat not getting to double figures, they were able to win against FEU. And a huge part of that is because of Gani Stevens.
Sa wakas, si Sammy naman ang naiiba at kami ni Maui ang the same. Ako swak. Sammy, did you know that Gani Stevens has scored in double figures the most out of any UP player? Yeah. Aside from this itlog in the UST game where Colin Sakoy ate him alive, and the Ateneo game where actually he was the best plus minus on the team despite scoring only 6 points.
Dami pa
scored
nga
in
niyang
double
na-miss nun eh, di ba? Na-gimmies.
Yeah, he's actually scored in double figures in the all other games. So that's 4 games that he scored in double figures. And yung tama si Maui. Uh, I don't I'm not necessarily a fan of playing double bigs who one both who cannot shoot, but UP is able to survive and even thrive by using yung double bigs because Gani Stevens has been crashing the glass and playmaking from the high post. Something I didn't, sabi nga ni Maui, we never saw this facet of Gani Stevens' game. I think and uh, the other thing, it's kind of, I wouldn't say solved, but it kind of addresses their power forward problem that I think a lot of UP fans were alluding to and referring to it in the offseason. They didn't have a legit power forward, diba? Now, Inigas you kind of backs him up but only gets spot minutes. Si Belmonte is back pero again, spot minutes. Alter gets some playing time but again, konti lang. It's more just Gani Stevens and Francis Noruka really carrying that front court. And it works because Gani Stevens has expanded this game. That's the reason why I think he is the most important player. Because they have survived despite not seeing the development from the other power forwards. Yung that they have on their roster. I don't think it's Remogat for now. Yes, he's had the big splashy games, 20 points against Ateneo, I think it's 21 and 11 against UP. But all other games, he's been a non-factor / he hasn't done much. Well, last game against FEU, I think Terence Fortea played more minutes than him. Only scored 8 points.
Single digits.
No, yung something like that. We all know what he did in the first 2 games. So it's been a struggle for Noy Mogat. Yes, he's had the big games, pero for the most part, it's not been him that's been driving this UP team. Si Harold, he comes and goes. He has impressive stretches. He's clutch. But in terms of consistency throughout the whole game, I think it's Gani Stevens. And I'm swak for this. I think he is UP's most important player. If he can continue to expand his game, I don't think he's going to get a jump shot. I don't think that he's ever going to do that. Just watch his free throw stroke. I don't think.
Sana man lang 70% from free throw. Yun na lang.
Over-under ka this season.
Under for sure. I'm taking the under.
Hindi ka matapang parang ako. So yung kay Shondo.
I don't have the balls.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be a stretch big. But if he can continue to make out of the high post and dominate the paint along with Noruka, just like what they did against Ateneo, I think UP will be in a good position. So shout out to Gani Stevens. I think he's been one of the more pleasant surprises for this season.
Yeah.
That's it for our statements. Any last notes, boys?
Yeah, just like to say lang also, on the offensive end, aside from playmaking sa high post, I think he's their best screener. I think he plays the best pick and roll. It's why players like Remogat and Fortea have been doing pretty well too when he's on the floor.
Good point. Sammy, last words and then you can close it out.
That's it for today's episode. Comment down below your answers to our Swak, Sak, Sablay statements. If you haven't yet, please like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.